All right, welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Today I have here with me one of my clients, or former client, but forever in my heart, a client, Valerie, who just finished her program like a few days ago. So we're going to talk all about her experience with it, ways that she's grown, kind of what her situation was going into the program. And we're just going to have a blast hearing about her really awesome I don't know what you call it, a relationship yet. You've just started seeing someone. It's definitely heading that direction, but
Yeah.
her really awesome guy. So, all right, starting out, Valerie, I would love to know what were some of the things that you were struggling with when you came into the program, like some of the things that maybe motivated you to take the jump.
Yeah. So I had been noticing over, years of my life, just this cycle where I would basically not feel worthy of like my friends' love. It was specifically with friendships. It was what was happening was I would see situations where I would feel left out, I would not feel chosen, I'd feel um just really like I was unloved and unwanted. Um, and that I was afraid that I wasn't worthy of that love, and that all of those little pieces of evidence seemed to compile and just like prove my theory right, is what I was seeing. And that was the reason I was just tired, because I would be fine, and then all of a sudden, um, there was one point where one of my friends was telling me, like, Valerie, we want to help you. It's just when you come to us, you're already in such a deep state of like distress. Like, can you come a little earlier? And I just didn't even know when I tried coming earlier, and I just didn't know what I was experiencing until I was already at a point of breakdown.
Mm.
Um, and so I was really tired of going through that cycle. I was tired of hurting my friends. I was tired of uh, just feeling really always left out, even though I knew my friends loved me, feeling like they didn't, and trying to reconcile my perception of reality versus like actual reality. Um, and so that's kind of what motivated me to take the jump. I just knew I didn't want to continue in this cycle, and I wanted to fight to see reality rightly, see my friends rightly, see myself rightly, see the world rightly. Um, and just have a healthier lifestyle because of it.
Yeah, awesome. And for people who didn't have like the whole context of everything that you were going through, would you elaborate a little bit on what you mean by like not going to your friends until it was like too late, like the basically needs, if you want to explain kind of what your experience was like with all of that initially.
Yeah. So I think probably what was happening is that I wasn't really aware of my needs. And part of that was growing up. I didn't, sorry.
I know it's allergy season.
Trying to clear my throat. Early morning talks.
Uh-huh.
Um, but what was happening is, like, as a kid, I never really wanted to put more burden on my mom. She took on a lot of needs from other people, and I didn't want to be someone that put more stress on her life. And as well, my dad, I love them both to pieces. Um, but he also just taught me growing up, if you can do something, you do it yourself. Which I think in some ways is healthy, but just as a kid, um, it impacted my view of asking for help. Um, and even just like recognizing needs, emotionally, right? And so the combination of those two things, and this was totally subconscious. This was all stuff that I like Emily helped me discover, um, as
Yeah,
we
you
were
weren't
talking.
like, I'm so aware of all these things beforehand.
Yeah,
You like
no,
dug
by
them
no
up.
means.
Yeah.
No, you were asking these questions. I was like, wow, like maybe that did impact my life. I had no idea.
All the subconscious stuff. We just have no idea what's going on under the surface.
Really, really, like I was pretty independent growing up, even just in things like school. Like, and my brother had a little bit of a tougher time, and so he'd always get the help from parents, and knowing that they were kind of going through a lot already, I just didn't want to be a burden to them. And what that told me was that my needs were a burden. And so going into these relationships with my friends, I didn't know how to identify my own needs because I'd always kind of stuffed them down and said, "Oh no, you're fine. Like you can handle this yourself." Um, and on top of that, I didn't know how to ask for help before the point of breakdown, when it was very clear that I needed help. Um, when in reality, like I can ask before that point of breakdown, and that's a much healthier thing for both for me and for my friends. It's not fair for any one person to try and like fill a completely empty bucket, and I've totally drained and depleted. But if I'm asking like, hey, can we hang out here, or can we do this and this, like before I'm at the point of breakdown, um, basically like then I've got a couple of different like streams of like flowing into the bucket,
Yeah.
and it never has to like get empty, and we never have to get to that point of breakdown if I can just recognize, okay, these are the things that I need. And they are still valid needs before the point of breakdown, because we don't want to have to get there, because that's not fair for them and it's not good for me. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. And
oh,
I
go
remember,
ahead.
well, I was just going to ask you, I remember you sharing too that like realizing um that yeah, needs are valid even before before they're an
Yes,
issue, and that like small needs or needs that aren't life or death are still
yes,
important needs, and asking for those to be met, giving those attention prevents you from getting to the this feels like life or death end of the world if someone's not here for me right now in this moment.
yeah, yeah. It's true. Like, and it is still a need, and it's better to ask it beforehand.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, did that answer your
Yeah,
first
yeah, that was
question?
great. No, that was awesome. And so I would love to know what you feel like is maybe one of the biggest perspective shifts or things that you learned throughout the program.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this a little earlier. Um, I think with the first question that you asked me, and it was just the sense that you look for evidence to affirm the things that you already believe.
Yeah.
Um, and so it really always seemed like, man, I don't understand. My friends are my friends, but why don't they seem to act like it? Like, da 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 da. And it was just that wasn't true in reality. Like, if I look, I can see, I can go back. And I'd been trying to do this before, but it just wasn't working for me. Like, I just didn't have the right tools. Um, I can point back and say, no, look, this is where that my friend showed me love this way. This is where I felt really loved this way, and this is what. But that's not what I was doing. What I was doing was compiling all of the moments where I felt unloved, and forgotten and mistreated. I was like, why wouldn't they invite me here? Why has no one texted me recently? Like, and I would just I would make myself believe the thing that said that I was unworthy of love. Um, instead of choosing like, and even just because it took practice, it takes practice and time, and it's still something I'm working on, like choosing to remember the times that I have been shown love and I have been appreciated, and then bringing perspective into those times where I feel like I've not been seeing that, the things that I would have otherwise used as evidence, I make them mean things that they don't actually mean.
Mhm.
My friends didn't mean to exclude me, they just like had a busy day, like
Yeah.
like literally it could be any other thing. Why am I honestly a little bit like, why am I thinking that this is about me when it's really not? um my friends love me, and that,
Yeah.
like, I know that, and there's evidence to prove that as well. Like, I just have to choose to look at that
Mm.
instead of making the things that actually don't say, this might be a little confusing in the way I'm saying it. The things I used to use as evidence that they didn't love me, that is not actually evidence towards that. Just I'm making it mean something that it doesn't. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yes. Yeah. Looking back and saying, wait, is there actually a different perspective or a
Yes.
different pair of glasses I can use to look at this experience? And not take on all the like high stakes into the world. Like, this means that I am unlovable or unwanted or all these things when it's like, yeah, okay, well, the other pair of glasses I'm putting on say that, like you said, those friends were just busy.
Yeah.
They had a lot going on today.
Mhm.
What do you feel like are maybe some of the like, I guess, most thought traps that you would get stuck in before that maybe like the perspectives that weren't great
Mhm.
or that weren't helpful, I guess we could say.
Yeah. I guess it really was just like probably the most often one that would happen was when I wasn't invited to something. Like invitation means a lot to me. And I actually know that most of my friends are like, you're always welcome. Like,
Mhm.
please, it's an open door.
Yeah, it's like an
Uh,
assumed invitation,
an assumed
but that
invitation.
wasn't what you like, what really did it for you. That wasn't what like made you feel chosen or special or whatever. But yeah, sorry to interject, but yeah, what you want to continue?
Yeah. To me, what that seemed to mean was like it felt like a shortcut. Um, intention means a lot to me. Intentionality means a lot to me. So for you to reach out and say like, "Hey, we're doing this and this at this and this time," um, that tells me that you want me there. Versus if you tell my friend or like just like make an open invitation. Open invitation's fine. It's cool. It still doesn't tell me like that you want me specifically, but I'll go like and I'll hang out. But if it's like one of my friends would get invited to something, um, and I literally just hadn't gotten the text yet, and I'm already like spiraling, like, um,
Mm,
but I know that I could go, but just the fact, why were you intentional with them and not with me? Like
mm,
that was kind of the trap, and it's a trap of comparison,
yeah.
which is awful, like, um, but yeah, that was kind of the thing that happened the most. Why them and not me?
Mm,
What's the difference?
yeah. Yeah. And I think we talked about this a little bit, but the whole like inviting, what do you think was like actually the need or the desire under that? Like to feel what?
Yeah, I think just to feel like wanted, like worthy of love, like just to feel loved, um, is the thing. Like,
Yeah.
do you love me? Like,
Hmm.
do you
Yeah.
like is my presence enough? Um,
So there's
and
all these like heavy things under being
mhm.
invited. And did you have any idea that those were there previously?
No, by no means. What I just I was like, why is this such a big deal? It's like a boring meeting I don't even want to be a part of, but why was I not invited?
Yep, yep. You're like into the world, and it's just a Tuesday.
It's just Tuesday.
Oh my goodness. Well, awesome. So I would love to transition a little bit into kind of some things related to dating.
Yeah.
So, what were some of your biggest like struggles or challenges related to that previous to the program, or even things throughout the program that started to shift?
Yeah. It was really interesting because there were like two relationships that you got to see me.
Mm,
Um, I guess walk through, like, interact with and
experience.
experience. Yes. Um, and I guess it's funny, before that, I'd only ever like talked to two other guys. One of them was like way back when, like 9 years ago in high school. And then the other guy was again several years ago. And so it was just really interesting. I felt like I don't really know what I'm doing. One of them was long distance. And
Mm,
that was really interesting because I think I was feeling a lot of things and I didn't know like how to put words to them. Um I think you helped me process through a lot of that. Um, and just like I think my struggle was um just feeling like, is this it? Like, does this have to be it? Like, kind of getting too into quick if I need, like, not um just sitting back and like enjoying the moment and relaxing and having fun and seeing if I can have fun. Like I took myself a little too seriously. Um on top of that, like I just wasn't really listening to my intuition and
Mhm.
like noticing um I think, and I know that this is just me too, but like I tend to give people the benefit of the doubt and I want to. Like I want to give the benefit of the doubt, but especially with like dating relationships, um like leading into serious like long-term like hopefully marriage, um like this is kind of the one where you're like, this is the most important. Like maybe these things, um again, like no one's perfect, but also using that as an excuse for like someone that isn't actually a good match, uh
Mm,
is not a great thing, you know just
yeah.
um and so I know that with like that first relationship that we were walking through, um there was a lot of like hesitancy, like things I saw that I didn't love, um nothing like character wise, but if even just like preferences and compatibility, that made me be like, oh, in my mind, I was like, man, what if it's just the long distance? What if it's just like communication? What if it's like maturity? What if it's like, and just like all of these, what if it's this or this or this? And like
Yeah.
wanting to give it like every opportunity. And I think I did. Like I wanted to give the guy a fair shot. Like he was an awesome dude, you know? Um, but he just like I think realizing that it's okay to have preferences, um, and to find like compatibility in a sense. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Like not
Yeah.
everyone's for you, you know?
Yes, and I think a lot of women almost feel like we need permission when something is like good or relatively healthy, like that we actually don't have to say that. Like that doesn't mean that they are the person for you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just like the first like healthy relationship we've been in, or it's the first like somewhat aligned like with values. And so it can feel like wait, but this
Yes.
is good. It's like, but that doesn't mean that it's it for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that like what you went through, I think a lot of women experience too. So
That was
yeah.
a really great way of articulating that. Kind of
I've given
that.
some thought to this. So
Yes.
okay, so yeah, things with that. Eventually, you kind of knew this is not a good fit. And I think, in a way, it was kind of like, what's the expression? Like fighting tooth and nail to see if it was going to be it. You really, like, I think, gave it all that you could. And at the end, you're like, this is like causing distress in my life. And I'm showing up in ways that I don't normally because of the stress of this. And so, if you want to share any more about that, feel free. But I'd also love to hear kind of how this new experience is for you.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I think you said it, like it really was causing a lot of like distress. There's a lot of confusion, there's lack of peace. Um, I was just like, I was not myself. Like I had two people in the same day come and tell me like, Valerie, you've not been yourself lately. Like what is going on? Are you okay? Like kind of
Mhm.
deal. And I knew exactly what it was. Um, and that was actually the day that I broke it off. Um, and then with this new relationship, this guy is actually someone I've been friends with for several months. And so it was really interesting because I'd never like talked to someone that I'd actually knew and been
Mhm.
friends with for a good amount of time. it was always like the first couple of dates were like the get to know you. But
Mm.
with this guy, I was like, I already know you. And I actually already know that we have a really fun time together. Like I enjoy your presence and you enjoy my presence. Like, um, and so going into like it was just really sweet. Because I started noticing he was doing things that it was almost like while we were friends, like just friends, he was already like showing up really well. And then we started talking and it was like, oh, this is what you consider. So you really considered that friendship, which is what I was like. I was already like, this is what my other romantic relationships. So I know that sounds a little bit weird. It's like you receive that from your friends. Let me like try and
And
rephrase this.
what you're expressing, because I want to ask you about this anyway,
Yes.
is that he is someone who is very in his masculine in a
Yes.
very wonderful, healthy way. And so
Yes.
previous people you dated really weren't. So his baseline of how he shows up in friendship was almost equivalent to how guys previous were showing up in relationships, because he just is that in his masculine in a very awesome way. So I would love to hear you talk about that. Like, what are some of the things that he has done, some of the ways he's shown up in this relationship that have been really awesome? And you were telling me about some of these in our last session, and I was like, girl, yes.
Yes. That is, yes, that's exactly it. Like and I know that it's like his way of expressing friendship because he does that for everyone around him,
Mhm.
you know? And so now I'm getting to see him express romantic interest and it's blowing me away
Yeah,
because I've
you're like,
actually
oh, there's
never,
a next level. I didn't know there
yes,
was a next level for
yes,
relationships. Yeah.
exactly. And so that was like, so when he asked me out, it was very sweet. It was so, uh, we were, we have a meeting on Sunday nights that we do. And it's like girls are with girls, guys are with guys, but at the end of it, we like come and hang out all together, right? And so I was gonna go, we were hanging out with the guys, and him and his friend were not there. And I was like, what's going on? We're about to like watch a movie, but they're not there. I'm hungry, so I was like gonna go and leave food, and my friends were like, no, don't leave. Like trying everything. I was oblivious too until like he knocked on the door, and at that point I was like, I think I know what's going on. I still didn't get up because no one else. I was like, no one ever knocks on these doors. Like people just walk in. So that was weird in the first place. And I'm like, I'm not gonna be the one to stand up. So one of my friends got up and said, Val, it's for you. So I go and I'm kind of expecting just to see him there at the door with flowers and to like do the little spiel right there. And he's like, you want to go on a walk? And I'm like, a walk? Okay. So we start going on this walk and we're just talking, like laughing, having fun, enjoying the moment. I'm about to pass this little park that I've walked by a million times. And he's like, oh no, right in here. Uh, and he like points me towards this tree. He's like, oh my goodness, what is going on? Like, are there just flowers at the base of this tree? And um, it was just so sweet. He grabbed the flowers. He said, these are for you. And many of them had buds still. They were like, it was almost mostly buds. And he said, whatever this relationship turns out to be, like I want it to last like these flowers. Like, there are some that are blooming, but they're hopefully gonna keep blooming. Um, because there are so many buds. I want this relationship like these flowers to last a long time. Um, so would you go on a date with me? Like that's how he asked me out on a date. And I was like, literally all of this for one date. Like, that's how I would have expected to be asked out, like to be his girlfriend,
Yeah.
you know? Like, but it was just for a date. Like, um, and we kept talking. It was really sweet. We ended up pranking our friends, making them think I said no. It was hilarious. But also, it was my idea, and the fact that he went along with it, like,
Hmm.
it was really fun. It told me a lot.
Yeah.
Um, but even just in the past couple of dates, like every time that we've hung out, even if it wasn't a date, like even before he took me and asked me out on this date, like when we would hang out, he'd always pay for everything. And I was like, no, are you sure? Like I can. And he's like, Valerie, I know what I'm doing. Like let me get this. Let me bless you. Um, and on this last date, we got to a point where I was just like, I was shocked. It was like, no, this is too much.
Yeah, because
And it was really,
he was helping you get some stuff for your trip that's coming up, right? And
yes,
so he was
yeah,
like he was giving a lot and investing a lot for you because
yes,
of your trip. And so,
yes.
yeah, tell me about that, how that like made you feel. You were kind of like, ah.
Part of it, I don't know. I think he used saying about the trip just to make me feel better.
Oh.
Um, but like he really like this shirt that I'm wearing, he bought me. Like, um, this one no, but it was the inspiration. But I he really had gone above and beyond. We'd eaten like a nice breakfast. We'd gone to an escape room that he'd paid for. He'd bought me like some journals and already like some clothes at a thrift store. And we'd gone to an Old Navy outlet. And that was where I was like, this is too much. It was, and something in me just realized, I think I texted you this. I was like, why do I feel unworthy of this? Do I feel like I've reached the limit of what I'm worth spending on? Um, and that was just kind of a thought that I kind of put away. Um, I was grateful. I never would have like realized, is this
Mhm.
what's going on?
Yeah, what would you have maybe instinctively done before? Just been like, no, you can't. Like, would you have told him he couldn't spend
I
stuff on
think
you?
probably at that point I would have been like, this is too much. Like, no, stop. You shouldn't. Which like would have been robbing him. Like literally, he has a conviction that like the giver is the person that is more blessed
Mhm.
than the receiver. And I understand that. Um, he's like, Valerie, don't rob me of this blessing. Like Valerie, like if you really believe that the giver, the person giving is the one that is the most blessed, then let me give to you. Like, um, and I felt so special and so like valued and treasured. And it just showed me, it was just a snippet. I told him, I was like, maybe gifts is like one of my love languages. I don't know. Um,
Mhm.
but it just showed me like it was another way that he expressed um his appreciation for my just being there. Like he kept thanking me. And I was like, what? Like for what? I've been here. You've planned this whole thing. You've paid for everything. You are the most like entertaining and like fun and easy to be around person. What are you thanking me for? Um, and it's just my presence. Like really, like he just enjoys like being with me. And I still don't understand it fully. I was talking to you about this earlier. Like I don't get it, but it's real. Like,
Yeah. Well,
like
and if you want me to elaborate a little bit of kind of what we talked about in your last session too, of this whole like dichotomy of like the lover versus the mother, and how
mhm,
the mother will be the one who kind of swoops in and like she soothes her son when he's struggling, or she handles things for him, fixes things for him. In a way, she robs him of a lot of opportunities to experience discomfort and then rise or grow. And so you simply showing up as not that, but as being in your feminine gives him the space to rise, to show up more fully how he wants to. And so we talked about how all that you are is just as much a gift as all that you aren't, the ways that you
mhm,
aren't smothering him or mothering him. And so yeah, he not only feels like appreciation and gratitude for who you are, but also who you're allowing him to step into, which is something that I think when we're in our really like proving, trying to strive and show that we have value, we miss out on being that and seeing how much of a gift that just who we are actually is in our feminine for a masculine man. So All right, there's my
Mhm.
TED Talk. But it's very cool to see how you are experiencing that firsthand.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's interesting, like, because I there have been times where I've like backed off. Or even just like deflected. Like on our first date, he just wanted to know, we talked about this later. He wanted to know my preferences. He was trying to get to know me. But he was asking me basically to make a lot of decisions. And I kept just being like, I don't know, what do you want to do? Like, what do you think? I trust you. And like,
Love it.
not for everything, but for plenty of things. And he told me later, he it was part of the conversation where he talked about, where he said, I was trying to get to know your preferences. He's like, but it did make me really feel like you trusted me and you trusted my leadership. And I really appreciated that. Um, which I was, because there were a lot of decisions, and I just like, even in a moment, trying to discover, like, okay, like, how do I let him take the lead? How do I let him be in his masculine and just like sit back and be in my feminine? Um, like some of that, I'm getting used to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like I'm learning.
yeah,
But just to hear him say that was really, it was exciting. It was
yeah,
affirming. Um, and I was glad to be able to make him feel that. In such a, like, I never would have thought before that like letting him make small decisions, even when he asks me, just like deferring them back to him, would communicate trust in such a huge way for him. Like never would have crossed my mind. Um, but it has like helped me to, even in small ways, um, affirm him,
yeah,
and then also just like helping, like being vulnerable. That's been a huge thing too, that I've been working on practicing. And I think that he really like just appreciates it and just feels like a hero. Um, the other day I was just sharing like some stuff that was going on, and he like was just there for me. And I was like, how is this not pushing you away? Again, these are like my subcon, like I'm realizing
yeah.
that my I'm asking for help, I'm expressing a need, and I feel like if that's going to push someone away, it's
Mm,
like it actually like brought us closer. Like
yeah.
was just really cool to experience, and it was really sweet. So,
Awesome. Oh, I love that. It makes me so happy hearing about how this is going for you and that you're getting to experience like what does it look like to be with a man who is really healthy in his masculine. And it's something that I wish for every woman to get to experience.
yeah.
Um, okay, and then I'm gonna do just one more question and then I'll let you go. I think we're kind of getting to the end, or maybe a little bit over our time. So I know when you first signed up, you were a little hesitant about whether this was the right thing for you or not. So I'm curious, maybe what were some of your hesitations, and what would you say to any woman that is on the fence about doing this program?
Yeah. I think I am very like penny pincher, money minded kind of deal. So it was a question of value. And I just told myself, as like, this is going to be worth it if it, because in our first couple of times talking, you did like offer like a free session or two. Not a free
Yeah, we
session, it
did.
was like
We
a
did. It was
consultation.
yeah, it was like I call them discovery calls. So
Yeah.
it was a conversation and I was just asking you a lot of like questions about, causing you to reflect and such. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. And in those calls, I was already like, oh my goodness, like I'm learning so much about myself. Um, like it was just crazy. Like, um, and so from there, it was a combination of like, I want to be able to like, I actually really want to outgrow these cycles. I
Mm,
actually really want to grow. Um, and if this is, and I can tell that this is going to help me do that, even just from these two conversations that we've had. And looking back, like it has. I can ask my friends, and and they have said and noticed like that I am a different person. Um, I've just been acting differently. I've been more joyful, less prone, like just way more healthy than when like before I started the program, right? And just even this idea that like I the other day I was talking to some of my friends, I was talking to you about this, but I was like, yeah, when I go through the cycle again, like I know how to, and it's like, what if I never have to go through the cycle again? What if it's actually over? Like because we've learned how to prevent, how to like ask for help before the point of breakdown, like because we've learned um like how to untangle like the root behind these limiting beliefs that we've had because we have the tools now to deal with things as they happen, as they come up, and to recognize feelings as information, um, instead of letting that dictate like reality, like my perception of reality and the decisions that I make because of it, you know? And so that's like, it has been well worth it. And I think even just something I told myself going into it, I was like, even the couple of questions that she's asked me, like I wonder if I can help ask some of my friends. Like I was talking, um, I'm gonna we've talked about like even talking to my mom because I'm concerned about her, because she's continues to take on the needs of other people all of the time, and it does like stress her out. And so knowing that these conversations I've had with you aren't just impacting my life, they're impacting the people around me, um like because I can ask some of these same questions. And it's I know it's not the same, like um I'm like everyone talk to Emily like
Yeah, and it's like,
um
obviously I'm not for everyone, and you can't, I guess fix, for lack of a better word, all the people in your
totally.
life. But when you start showing up in a different way, and even just give them a little like you stick a little question in their brain that causes them to like, I hadn't thought about that before, and gives them
Yeah,
something that they like, a different perspective that they hadn't seen before, that may take them on a whole other journey. And, maybe your mom starts working with someone that
yeah,
is a good fit for her because of like the changes she's seen in you. So, yeah, definitely.
yeah. uh I think it was a little bit of a leap of faith, but it has definitely been well worth the time, the effort, the finances. It's been worth every single part of it. I'm really grateful. Thank you, Emily.
Well, and
Like,
I'm grateful. You have been such an amazing client, and it's been so fun getting to work with you and see you grow. And I'm so sad. I'm gonna miss our weekly
oh, me
sessions.
too.
Well, thank you so much, Valerie, for taking the time today to talk to me. And then I'm excited to put this out into the world for other women to hear, and hopefully they'll gain some nuggets from it. And for any of you that are listening to this now and you're like, I don't know what Valerie has been through, but I want that too, then you can check out my Worthy Woman Academy. And so I should have, wherever this is posted, you should see my link tree, and in there is the application, or you can send me a message on Instagram if you want to chat about the program or have any questions. So, all right, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you for listening.